Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Guiasta. On today's show, we check in with the Ames Electric Services Department. My guest today is Steve Wilson, also known as the Energy Guy from Ames Electric Services. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's always good to have you on the show because you always have so much going on in your area of expertise, which is energy conservation. Mm-hmm. And this is the season.
Yeah, there's two seasons. Everybody's familiar with that. You live in Iowa, you know it gets hot and humid in the summer, and that's the season we worry about high bills. But the wintertime is equally as cold and dry, and then we worry about high bills the other way. So if you're not air conditioning, then you're using your furnace to heat the house. And so people are very interested right now in what they can do to conserve energy and reduce their bills.
And we've had quite a cold fall already, and it could be heading into a cold winter.
Yeah, that's we didn't have much of a fall this year. It just kind of went from summer into cold weather, and that catches people by surprise because one of the preparations, if you will, for the heating season is to have your system checked. It's a good idea to have a professional come out and check your system for proper operation, make sure it's running as it should. And sometimes we think, well, I've got plenty of time, you know, winter's not here yet, weather, temperature's still pretty good. When it gets cold early, now the furnace is coming on and it's a little more difficult to sort of give it up for a few hours to have the professionals come in and check it. So it does catch people by surprise. And the other thing that we don't tend to do is we don't tend to prepare our homes as well. Difficult to go outside and maybe do some caulking or some things around the house when it's cold. So.
But as you mentioned, doing those things to conserve energy around the house, we have ways to help people who are interested in doing some of that work.
Yeah, we typically have the question that comes to me. We typically have people asking, you know, what can I do to save energy in my home? Because a lot of folks are busy with their lives. They're not necessarily digging into the corners and attics and basements of their homes to determine what they can do. We can help them with that. And the City of Ames, through Smart Energy, offers a free energy audit. And that's exactly what it's for. We have professionals that go out, they do an in-depth energy audit, they look at things like attic insulation and heating and air conditioning systems, windows and doors, appliances, water heater, all of the different things that might affect energy and bills. And then they'll put all that information together in a report. They'll go back to the customer and they'll say, here's what you have, here's what you can do to save energy. And here's some information on what it might save you. So there's the energy audit, but there's also for the older homes built in the year 2000 or before, we also add a blower door test. And the blower door test gives the customer information on air infiltration. Is your house leaky? You know, and the more leaks, the more cracks that it has, then the more energy you're wasting. Yeah, we can help folks with their energy conservation by telling them what it is they need to do in their homes.
So the free energy audit's a great way, of course, to have that professional right there with you, showing you where you can improve your home's energy efficiency, but also if you don't have a lot of money to spend on energy efficiency, showing you that low-hanging fruit, those easy things to do, as easy as changing out your light bulbs.
Yeah, I think people suffer from the misconception that it's expensive to save energy, and therefore they don't even try. Well, there is low-hanging fruit. Putting in a new light bulb, one that uses less electricity, adjusting your thermostat. For someone that takes their thermostat down 5 degrees and does that consistently throughout the winter, they can save 15% on their bill. It could be as easy as opening the drapes and letting the heating rays of the sun in the winter time so that your furnace doesn't have to work as hard. You might look into adjusting your water heater temperature. Maybe it's set too high. So there's a number of things that can be done that essentially don't cost anything. And then there are some other things that have a small cost, you know, maybe putting on some window plastic. I'm often asked, does window plastic really help? Well, yeah, it does. You create an airspace that has an insulating value, and so you do a couple of things. You can reduce the air infiltration through a window. You can also help insulate. So putting on plastic, for as much as it costs, you get more than that back in savings, and so it makes good sense to do that. Things like weather stripping. The cost for weather stripping isn't huge, but it has a huge impact. The little gaskets that you put behind your exterior wall switches and plug plates can save 2% on your heating bill over the wintertime. Might cost you $5. So a lot of free things, a lot of low-cost things. If people want information on that, they can certainly call me. That's what I'm there for. 239-5177, and I'll be happy to help any way I can.
Another one that if you wanted to invest maybe a little bit more money, some of those things that we all have in our house that are running all the time, your refrigerator, maybe a dishwasher or a wash machine, if you were willing to upgrade and look for the Energy Star appliance, well, Ames Electric Services has some help.
Yeah, the appliance rebate actually is our most popular rebate. I wouldn't have guessed that so many people trade out appliances in Ames, but the reality is people do need new appliances. We'd like to think they last forever, but they don't. And so if you replace your existing refrigerator, freezer, dishwasher, or washing machine with an Energy Star certified product, then there's a rebate from the City of Ames. Can be $100 for a refrigerator or a washing machine, $50 for a freezer, $50 for a dishwasher. And so the basic program, I guess, is to go out and look at a standard model, and then you want to look at the Energy Star rated model, and then you want to determine, well, okay, I'm going to get a rebate on this one. Does that make sense for me to make that purchase? Knowing that depending on the age of the refrigerator, you're probably going to save somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40% just on the upgrade in energy efficiency over the amount of energy the old one used. So you put that all together. You say, okay, here's my additional cost, here's the rebate I'm going to get, here's the energy savings I'm going to get. Yeah, it makes sense. I think I'll buy a new appliance. And so we can help with that.
And the idea is not to take that old refrigerator and stick it in the garage to keep it around for that those times you need all the extra refrigeration, but the idea would be to get rid of that one.
Yeah, it's actually a requirement of the program. You buy a new refrigerator or freezer, and a lot of times the temptation is to go put that in the basement. I'm going to keep popping the refrigerator. I can use another freezer. But the reality would be then is you've just added electric load. And instead of saving energy, now you're using more energy. So part of the program rules are that if you replace a refrigerator, you have to give us proof or a statement that you've gotten rid of the old one. Same thing with the freezer. So we're not increasing the load. The way the programs are actually funded is through the savings that the utility gets and not having to provide as much electricity to the community.
So the whole goal, again, is to produce less electricity, to use less electricity, and then obviously to have lower utility bills.
Right.
We're moving into, we did the energy audit. We talked about the smarter energy appliance rebate, but one of my favorite rebates is the lighting rebate. And obviously people should know by now we're moving away from the incandescent light bulb, the traditional light bulb, into ones that are much more energy efficient. Talk to me about LED light bulbs.
LEDs are a huge success story. We told folks just 2 years ago, install compact fluorescent light bulbs. Yes, they're more energy efficient, but they include a little bit of mercury. They were a little disappointing. They didn't last as long as advertised, and so people really were looking for an alternative. The incandescents they kick off a lot of heat. 95% of the energy output in an electric incandescent bulb is wasted heat. 5% is the actual light that you get. So they're hugely inefficient. Compacts didn't work well for people. Here come the LEDs. LEDs are expensive. 2 years ago, an LED light bulb would have cost you $120. But prices are coming down. The quality is getting better. 2 years ago, 95% of the rebates we paid for lighting were for compact fluorescents. Very small percentage LEDs. That's totally flip-flop now. Today we see probably 95 to 98% of the rebates paid for lighting are LED, and very few for compact fluorescents. I still see a few, but not very many. LED is solid state lighting. It works if there's cold temperatures outside where fluorescents wouldn't. It's a good quality light. They've done a very good job. They, being the research and development folks, the manufacturers, have done a good job at allowing the light to disperse now so that you can use them in for all uses, whether it's reading lamp or can fixture. Just a really good alternative. And probably the best news is the prices have come down. You can buy a good quality LED now for around $10, maybe 15, and the rebate that through Smart Energy is 30% of the price of the bulb. So it makes them fairly attractive.
Yeah, and they're dimmable, they can go anywhere, and they last forever. Really a nice product, and with the price decrease and the rebate, they really make sense for most people.
Yeah, the life expectancy of an LED is based on the number of hours, the average number of hours that we see in Ames, maybe being 4 hours a day, even if it was 6 hours a day, that bulb's probably going to last you about 20 years. Whereas an incandescent, the idea is that they're 50,000 to 100,000 hour bulbs, whereas an incandescent bulb might have lasted 1,000 hours, and a compact fluorescent might have lasted 6,000 to 8,000 hours. And so it's just a huge difference. They're perfect for places that are hard to get to, places you don't want to have to go back to for a long time. So you put an LED up there and you can forget about it. And they're also very good for areas where you need a good white bright light. For instance, for street lighting, they're excellent because studies have shown that the light actually does a better job of taking away dark spots in the periphery or the outer reach of the spread of the light, so that safety is actually improved under LED lights as opposed to old high pressure sodium lights, and the city saves energy when they install them. So.
Well, and as you know, at the city we have installed LEDs in all the traffic signals, and we are doing experimental LED lighting with the street lighting, and I'm sure that will continue. Yeah,
I think the LED is sort of here to stay, and they're only going to get better, and the prices are going to continue to come down. The difficult part, if there is one, is trying to determine what wattage to buy, and the reason is because they're getting better at producing more light per watt. And so where a year or two ago you might have purchased a 13-watt LED, you're down to maybe buying a 9-watt LED, does the same thing in terms of replacing your 60-watt incandescent. So typically packaging will tell you where you need to be in terms of wattage on an LED, depending on how much light you want. But it's actually a good problem to have because you're getting more light, fewer watts, costing you even less.
Well, Steve, lots of information. Those rebates are available on our website. And of course, as you mentioned, people can always call you, Steve Wilson, the Energy Guy. That's at 239-5177.
Right.
Well, Steve, thanks for coming on the show.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, again, if you want more information about the City of Ames Smart Energy rebates, you can go to our website at cityofames.org/Smart Energy. You can get a direct link right to those rebates. Also, you can always call Steve Wilson, the Energy Guy, at 515-239-5177. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.